How I plan to deal with this, given the title, How to Develop an Attitude of Nonviolence, is to look at what causes the violence in the first place. Might say what violence? Any violence. There's so many kinds. Of course, physical violence, the psychological violence too. So where does this feeling, this anger, this sudden burst, where does it come from? What is the root cause? There are three ways that violence is generated, and it's a very commonplace thing. Something from the past enters our present, something in the present is pressing on us, something about the future is not quite correct. So there's three different ways of possibility. If we want to look at to see what's happened in the past, well, it's a study. We have to study the past. What's happened? What happened then? Is what happened then pressing on us now? Is that a valid experience or occurrence, or is it a misinterpreted event? Maybe the blame is misapplied. Maybe it is applied correctly, but still we haven't been able to forgive that person or ourselves in that situation. This entails a study. Also, in the present, what is pressing us now to cause some frustration? And I don't mean that the general things like the shopping queue is too long. Even that can cause distress, but usually because there's something more fundamental. Because the shopping queue can be quite fun. You can talk to your neighbours, see who's out today, what they're wearing, look at the funny people, etc. But if one is already to a degree stressed because of some internal problem, well, you blow up in the queue. Well, to locate the origin of these strange tensions which relate to the present, we have to study the present, our present situation. There's three items we've found which are the main causes, or in the main, they can always be fitted into these categories as far as we can see. There's money problems, because our whole society is dependent on having money. Sex, because without adequate sexual expression, there's total physical discomfort and mental discomfort. And there's prestige, strangely. Yes, prestige. We don't want to be thought dumb people. We don't want to be thought bad of. We have a certain ego, which is not a bad thing, the ego, but it gets in the way. So we'll find these tensions, these problems can be put into one of these three categories: money, sex, prestige. This all helps us to winnow down the study. So what we have to do is consider our life and look in relation to these three items how we are. Are we okay? Or do we have problems in these areas? What are the problems? What is the problem? And then we make a little plan. Of course, this is jumping ahead. We didn't do the study yet. How to overcome these problems, which is the whole import of Ciro's The Healing of Suffering, the overcoming of suffering. Because it's a simple thing here. When the suffering is gone, one is happy. And that is the whole point. If you're happy, that's great. Many people are not happy. This is a study to find out why and to get back into that. Let's say it's the normal human condition given normal circumstances, which we're not in. People are happy. Take away the problems, that's our register. Speaking about the future, it's interesting that if you have a lack, if there's a lack of future, there's no future. If that is one's feeling, that blocks the present. It rebounds back into the present, and we can't move. We're stuck. We're not motivated. Life's boring. We're not going anywhere. This also is a kind of study to see how is our prospects, not in terms of the economy or getting a job, but how do I view it? Because some people don't even want to have a job and they're quite happy. There's not a question of having a job or not having a job. What do I see in my future which stops me instead of allowing me to go forward? With these studies, we can normalize ourselves, given that we enter into some kind of projects to relieve all of these tension, to get over these things. And again, we're not talking about small things. We're talking about contradictions, rather big things, where we get thrown back on ourselves and feel frustration. That's what we have to overcome, break those barriers, self-imposed, because of we're defending ourselves against something. How real is that something? And is it worthwhile doing? And do we just leave it like that? With these studies, we can eradicate the tensions which cause us personal suffering. And of course, if we are suffering, we contaminate the whole environment in which we live. Friends, family, workplace, just general society, neighbors. So this is something of great interest for those who are not satisfied with leaving things as they are, but want to move ahead, not only to be naturally happy and have a pleasant life. Beyond that, in our humanist movement, our aim is to somehow help those who cannot somehow help themselves. People are stuck. If they're stuck, how do we unstick them? Well, here we give them some tools, that's all. So an attitude of non-violence is where these major type of problems are resolved. Of course, we're left with the ordinary problems of getting some money, having enough, getting a job, developing a family, having a family, maturing out of the family, living, all those things. Life goes on, and it's not a static thing. It's not as if we reach an end and that's it, we're going to be happy forever. No, life's always changing. We have to adapt. Because we are aging. We're not the same anymore. Priorities change. So in that sense, I talk about developing an attitude of non-violence. Because a happy person is not a violent person. Simple as that. And the studies are guided by, from within the humanist movement, there are other possibilities in other places, no doubt, by the book Self-Liberation by L.A. Aman. This is our instructor's book, but it's very difficult to work alone. In fact, we would say it's impossible. You have to work in a group, and preferably you can be guided by someone who already knows, has been through the process. But what has been learned most interestingly recently is a group of people with this minimum of guidance as contained in this book, Self-Liberation. Not that the book is the book you've got to have, but the point is, this is the writings of all our experiences put together in a fairly easy to read format, not so simple because these are very technical things. A group can engage in this study and, well, they can do it alone. They don't have to have a guide, a mentor, a guru, a master. It's up to the group. But the group must know it needs everyone in the group to take part. It's not a case of being passive here and one guy and somebody comes out the leader. No. Actually, everyone contributes. It's amazing. The guy who doesn't know anything is aiding everybody to know themselves. That's how the group works. It's very important, it's almost like a new phenomenon, because we've always wanted an authority, guide, a master. There's something very interesting now going on. The whole mentality is changing. But there's a danger, because it's also changing in a negative direction. Violence is increasing. Disenchantment, disbelief, loss of values, loss of references, all that's happening. And it's not going to be solved by just leaving it as it is. No, we want to take a slice out of this life of violence, which is so rampant now, and create pockets of non-violence. And that's entirely up to people. They can do it or not do it. We're looking for those who want to do it, and we offer these tools. It is very charming and very human to have an internal state which is at peace with the world and oneself. And it's strong, and sometimes it's really important to be able to hold that when you walk into difficult situations. Not easy. But here's a start. It's a study of the past, the present, and the future. Something about the future. And who knows beyond that? Because this study is what we call, what you can call, a kind of equilibrating study. You get to a point of balance. And if there was any development in the future, which we all want to develop internally when you get to a certain age, if you're not balanced, very strange things can happen. So first, achieve this balance, this integrated personality, let's say. And with that, so much opens up for further studies and to what are the real potential of the human being. And I think that's enough for today. Thank you very much.